The reality is, foreigners start to avoid the Philippines. Not because of the beaches, they're still gorgeous. Not because of the people, many Filipinos are warm, kind, and welcoming. The reason is harsher. It's because the Philippines in 2025 feels like a gamble. Too many scams, too many horror stories, and on top of that, prices that don't make sense anymore. I've talked to travelers, I've read the headlines, and I've seen the frustration myself. And here's the reality. People are voting with their feet. They're choosing Vietnam, Malaysia, or even Taiwan instead. Why? Because they don't want to feel like every step of their trip could go sideways. It starts at the airport. Manila's NAIA is infamous. Delays, chaos, scams, even theft. Just clearing immigration can feel like running a gauntlet. And then there's the Tanimbala scam, the so-called bullet planting trick. Imagine arriving exhausted, only to be pulled into a side room where a guard finds a bullet in your bag. It's a shakedown, pure and simple. Pay up or face serious trouble. That kind of story spreads. It makes people decide, you know what? I'll land somewhere else. The second big reason people are skipping the Philippines is simple: value for money. Hotels cost as much as in other parts of Asia, but give you bad aircon, no breakfast, and outdated rooms. Domestic flights? Way more expensive than they should be, and unreliable ferries don't make things easier. Even basic daily costs, restaurants, groceries, taxis have surged. Travelers are no longer calling the Philippines a budget destination. Many are saying, why would I pay the same here for less comfort, when Vietnam or Taiwan give me better service and infrastructure for the same price or cheaper? Infrastructure is another sore point. Traffic is legendary. Manila in rush hour is basically a parking lot. Roads outside the cities crumble with potholes. Public transport? Chaotic, unreliable, and uncomfortable. Ferries get canceled last minute, buses are packed, and local tricycles feel unsafe and overpriced. And then there are the basics: frequent brownouts, unstable internet, dirty tap water. Things that, in 2025, people don't want to tolerate on a trip, or when choosing where to live long-term. When neighboring countries are investing in smoother transport and modern systems, the Philippines feels like it's stuck. Healthcare is another deal-breaker. In places like Malaysia, foreigners rave about world-class hospitals at affordable prices. In the Philippines, the perception is low quality, underfunded, and unreliable. Even worse, if you need emergency treatment, you're often asked for cash up front. No payment, no treatment. For tourists, it's terrifying. For expats with health conditions, it's a red line. Many would rather base themselves somewhere with safety nets and proper care. Then there's the constant drumbeat of safety issues: bag snatching, card skimming, ATM fraud. Tourists feel like walking ATMs. And sometimes, the danger escalates into outright violence. I'll give you examples. In February 2025, American tourist Ralph Maneka, 56 from Boston, was killed during an attempted robbery at an ATM in Trento, Mindanao, after withdrawing around $800 with his partner, an attack that raised fresh concerns about safety in less touristed parts of the country. Just a few months earlier, in October 2024, 26-year-old American YouTuber Elliot Eastman was abducted from his home in Zamboanga del Norte by armed men posing as police, reportedly injured while trying to escape and later taken by boat toward the Sulu Sea. Authorities believe he did not survive, though his body was never recovered. And in July 2024, in the usually quiet resort town of Tagaytay, Australians David James Fisk and Lucita Barquin Cortez, along with a Filipino relative, were found dead in their hotel room under suspicious circumstances, with one suspect later surrendering to police. These high-profile tragedies, though isolated, received global coverage and have fueled worries among travelers and expats about security in both remote regions and tourist areas of the Philippines. These aren't petty scams. These are headlines that make families cancel trips. Even if you avoid the big dangers, the little things grind you down. Noise, karaoke blasting until 3 a.m., roosters crowing before sunrise, endless traffic horns, garbage on the streets, pollution in the air, and then bureaucracy. Trying to extend a visa, get a license, or even open a bank account is slow. inconsistent, and expensive. Compared to countries that make things simple, the Philippines feels outdated. For a short vacation, these are annoyances. For expats or digital nomads, they're deal breakers. Tourism in the Philippines hasn't kept pace. Resorts feel rundown. Cities feel chaotic. Even the food, compared to neighbors, is often described by travelers as the weakest in Southeast Asia. Some visitors also complain about begging in tourist zones, often from children, which leaves them feeling guilty and uncomfortable. Add to that a sense that locals see foreigners as wallets rather than guests, and the romance fades quickly. For years, expats came to the Philippines for cheap living. That's fading fast. Condo and rental prices are now multiple times higher than in Vietnam. Property often costs more than in parts of the US, and yet the condition is worse. Cracked walls, poor plumbing, unreliable utilities. People run the numbers and realize the cost advantage that once made the Philippines attractive has disappeared. And let's not forget visas. Instead of welcoming long-term visitors, the system feels designed to push them away. Constant renewals, inconsistent fees, new rules that shorten extensions or demand higher deposits. Meanwhile, other countries in the region are making it easier for retirees, digital nomads, and investors to stay. The Philippines? It feels like one hassle after another. When foreigners compare the Philippines with neighbors, it doesn't come out ahead. Vietnam offers better food, cheaper living, growing transport networks, and a buzzing digital nomad community. Malaysia gives you modern cities, strong infrastructure, English-friendly systems, and high-quality healthcare. Taiwan is safe, clean, with fantastic public transport and world-class food. The Philippines has natural beauty in spades, but beauty alone doesn't cut it when the rest of the package feels broken. By now, you can see the pattern. It's not one single thing that's pushing foreigners away from the Philippines, it's the combination. 1,000 cuts, each one small on its own, but together they bleed out the romance. Let's be real, in 2025, people have choices. And when travelers or expats look at those choices, they start to ask themselves, why should I settle for less? There used to be a magic about the Philippines. Backpackers whispered about hidden beaches. Retirees dreamed of stretching their pensions. Digital nomads saw cheap base in paradise. That magic covered up the cracks. But cracks don't stay hidden forever. Now, people don't just share their sunsets on Instagram. They share their frustrations on Reddit, YouTube, and travel forums. Noise complaints, dirty beaches, visa headaches, stories of theft, headlines of murders. The internet amplifies it all, and suddenly the idea of paradise looks shaky. That's the shift. It's emotional. It's not just about the price of a hotel, it's about trust. Do people still trust the Philippines to deliver the trip or lifestyle they're looking for? Increasingly, the answer is no. Let's zoom back in on safety. When a single tourist gets shot at an ATM, thousands read about it. When a foreign YouTuber gets kidnapped, millions hear about it. When an Australian couple ends up bound in a hotel, that story haunts every potential visitor scrolling TripAdvisor. It doesn't matter that these incidents don't happen to everyone. What matters is perception. And the perception is, the Philippines isn't safe. That perception doesn't just kill vacations, it kills investment, long-term plans, and word-of-mouth recommendations. Foreigners don't mind paying more for quality. Look at Taiwan. Not the cheapest place in Asia, but it works. The trains run on time. The food is incredible. The streets are clean. People pay and feel satisfied. In the Philippines, it's the opposite. Prices are climbing, but service isn't improving. Hotels cost more than they used to, but the rooms feel the same, or worse. Condos go for Western prices, but the plumbing barely works. That gap between cost and experience is where trust dies. And once people feel cheated, they don't come back. It's not just tourists who are choosing other destinations. Expats are leaving too. Why? Because the original bargain has vanished. Cheap rent, easy visas, warm lifestyle, that was the selling point. Now rents are 3 times higher than in Vietnam. Visas feel like punishment. Healthcare scares them. And once expats leave, the ecosystem around them suffers. Bars close. Restaurants struggle. Local businesses that depended on steady foreign spending dry up. That, in turn, makes the Philippines less attractive for the next wave. It's a cycle. Another thing foreigners are talking about is how they're treated. Too many feel like locals see them not as people, but as wallets. Sure, there are genuine friendships and relationships, but the stories of scams, constant begging, and price gouging wear people down. Tourists start to feel like prey. Expats start to feel drained, and eventually they walk away. Compare that with Malaysia or Vietnam, where the foreigner isn't always the special target. The difference in how people feel treated makes all the difference. The Philippines isn't just losing random backpackers, it's losing trust on a global scale. And that's dangerous, because tourism and expat spending are lifelines for the economy. When a place gets a reputation for scams, poor value, and danger, it takes years to rebuild. Just look at other countries that went through it. Once the image is tarnished, travelers reroute, airlines cut routes, travel agencies push alternatives, and the longer this continues, the harder it gets to recover. Here's the tough part. Change is possible, but it's not easy. It would take serious investment in infrastructure, real crackdowns on scams, smarter visa systems, cleaner cities, stronger healthcare. Things that aren't impossible, but require political will and time. Until then, foreigners will keep choosing elsewhere. Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan. They don't have to be perfect, they just have to be better than the Philippines. And right now, they are. Foreigners are avoiding the Philippines for one simple reason: it doesn't feel worth it anymore. Scams, safety risks, poor infrastructure, overpriced hotels, weak healthcare, and frustrating bureaucracy, it all adds up. And when travelers have so many choices, they're asking the obvious question: why gamble on the Philippines when I can get more for less somewhere else? The beaches are still stunning. The smiles are still warm. But until the system catches up with the beauty, many will keep their distance. That's the reality, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. Have you ever experienced scams, overpricing, or safety concerns while visiting the Philippines? Share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.